The village of Bairavpur didn't need a king. It already had one. Raghu Thakur. He wasn't crowned, but his word was law. No one bought land without his permission. No one married without his approval. And if anyone dared to speak against him, they disappeared. The villagers called him a Sarkar. Even the police didn't step foot into his territory. Until one day, Officer Veer arrived. Alone. With nothing but a badge. And a broken past. No one knew why he chose Bairavpur. But they all knew this: he wouldn't last a week. Because Raghu Thakur had one rule: no one questions him. But when Veer stood at the village square, stared directly into Raghu's eyes, and said, "Your rule ends today," the earth itself seemed to shake. And from that moment on, a war had begun. Story begins. Veer was not a new officer, but he was a man trying to rebuild. He had once served in the city, famous for catching dangerous criminals. But during one raid, a little girl died in the crossfire. A girl he tried to save. That day shattered him. He requested transfer after transfer until he landed in Bairavpur. A forgotten village with no law, only fear. The police station was half broken. Files were covered in dust. The constables avoided eye contact. When he asked, "Who controls this village?" they all said the same name, Raghu Thakur. Veer didn't flinch. That night, he walked alone through the narrow lanes. People shut their doors. Mothers pulled their children inside. No one spoke. Only silence. And eyes full of warning. He reached the village square and looked up at the mansion. Built like a fortress, Thakur's home. He lit a cigarette. And whispered, "Let's begin." Chapter 1, The Warning. The next morning, a jeep stopped outside the police station. 4 men in black got down. One handed Veer a note. It read, "You're new. Don't be stupid. Go back before we make you disappear too. Raghu Thakur." Veer smiled. He wrote one line on the back and sent it with the messenger. "I don't scare. I serve. Officer Veer." The entire village heard the slap before it landed. Raghu's favorite bodyguard, Rana, returned with a bruised face and a broken ego. Raghu was furious. "No one slaps my man," he shouted. "Find his weakness." And they did. Veer had no family. No wife. No friends. Only a photo of a little girl. And guilt in his eyes. Raghu planned to use it. Chapter 2, The Festival Trap. The village fair was announced, a rare event meant to keep the villagers entertained and distracted. Veer knew something was wrong. It wasn't just a celebration. It was a trap. And he was walking straight into it. Still, he went. He walked through the crowd. Children laughed, music played, and food stalls filled the air with scent. But behind the curtain of joy, shadows moved. Suddenly, screams. A fire broke out near the Ferris wheel. Panic spread. Veer ran into the flames without thinking. A woman was trapped under a fallen pole. He lifted it, carrying her out, just as the ride crashed down behind him. He turned and saw Raghu Thakur watching from a balcony, clapping slowly. "You're brave," Raghu said. "But you're alone." Veer looked him in the eye and replied, "Not for long." Chapter 3, The Seed of Revolt. Raghu controlled everything: water, food, even schools. But Veer found his weapon: the people. He began visiting homes. Helping old men fix roofs. Teaching children how to read. Buying medicine for the sick. At first, they feared him. But slowly, they started trusting. One day, an old woman handed him a piece of cloth. "My son died fighting Thakur," she said. "You remind me of him." That cloth became his bandana, his armor. But Raghu saw it all. And he was getting desperate. So he struck hard. Chapter 4, The Night of Blood. One night, Veer returned to the station and found it burning. Files gone. Constables beaten. And on the wall, written in blood-red paint, "Leave." or the next fire will be inside your chest. Veer didn't sleep that night. He stood at the edge of the village, stared at the moon, and clenched the bandana. I didn't survive that girl's death to run from this. And then, for the first time in years, he prayed. Not for safety, but for strength. Chapter 5, The Secret Witness. One of Raghu's own men, a young boy named Suya, came to Veer. I want to help, he said. My sister was taken by Thoko. I want her back. Veer saw the fire in his eyes. And he knew this was hope. Suya told him everything, where Raghu hid his weapons, how he smuggled drugs, and most importantly, where he kept a record book. That book could bring Raghu down. But it was locked in the temple vault, a place no one entered without Thoko's orders. Veer had a plan. Chapter 6, The Temple Heist. During the village prayers, Veer created a distraction. He lit a small fire near the market. People rushed to put it out. Meanwhile, Suya and Veer broke into the temple. The vault was hidden behind the statue. Veer picked the lock with shaking hands. Every second counted. Finally it opened. Inside were files, photos, money, and the record book. He grabbed it. But just as he turned to leave, the temple bell rang. And Raghu stood at the door. You really are foolish, Raghu whispered. But brave. Veer didn't speak. He ran. Chased by Raghu's men, bleeding from his shoulder, he dove into a nearby well. They searched for hours. But Veer was gone. Chapter 7, The Return of the Dead. Everyone thought Veer had died. The village mourned. But at midnight, a shadow entered the police station. Bandaged. Bleeding. Alive. Veer. With the record book in hand. He sent the files to the city police commissioner. The next morning, black jeeps entered Bairavpur. Not Thoko's men, but commandos. Raghu tried to run. But the villagers stood in his way and caught him.